I guess this is another kind of lesson or just like element that I would like to mention for the Solacene is these grand scientific societies. So one of these, or I think the most famous one, is called the Royal Geographic Society in the UK. And there's also the Explorers Club in the USA, which I think Roosevelt may have been like an honorary member of or a real member. And there's just something so awe-inspiring about these institutions for science where people sit around and draw squids and have like museums, and it's kind of formal. I think it's very unique to this era of exploring the world. And now, as we were saying, it's not really a thing because we don't really do expeditions to the North Pole anymore. Or if they do, they're kind of retreading ground that's already been tread. But if we could somehow recapture that spirit, and something that caught my eye further is that said Royal Geographic Society in the UK started as just like a very small dinner club that it gradually grew out from as more people started attending. So it's something we mentioned on the podcast before is the lack of serendipity in a world dominated by digital interactions and the internet as we are in today. But also, I mean, it's also the lack of formal groups and institutions that we can be a part of and meet people, share ideas, basically.
People talk a lot about third places, which this reminds me of, but it's not that we need third places. It's like we need third things.
Third groups.
Because it's like you have your family, you have your
workplace.
Work. But then like for hobbies, you don't really have community. You do a lot of them in isolation. The community is completely online.
Exactly.
And another thing is it's not like social mobility, but it's almost like organizational mobility, because you say it starts as a dinner club, but now it's like, well, then you're going to need to get funding and apply for grants.
Yeah,
it's just like
weird.
Because in order to break through even like the NGO space, you need quite a lot of.
I mean, I'm sure these guys were wealthy.
They probably were wealthy. That's true. But it's just like I feel like there probably is space for a bit more mobility within organizations to grow, because right now, if you start a dinner club, but then people start coming, how are they going to learn about it, for one thing? But if they do start coming, it's like everyone only has 600 square feet to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, I also think it's partly what we were saying about ambition and scope, wherein now, at least you and I, if you were to start something like that, you'd feel the need to be like, and here's what we want to do for science. Whereas maybe if it was more of a community, like, let's get together and draw pictures of all the local trees. And then suddenly while you're doing so, you notice, actually, what's going on with this one? And then you say, you make you start researching it and realizing that nobody knows about this and you guys can observe it over time. But it's more about just, I suppose, starting not with the intention of making money.
Well, it's like when people always feel like they need to monetize their hobbies. And it's not necessarily monetization in this case, but it's still discovery or like some kind of social change that you feel like you need to enact. It's similar to when we start the podcast. It's like, can't just have a podcast. We have to like do something, make a change the world, which is sure a fun prospect, but not everybody has to have that. You can just have your dinner party, draw your squirrels, post them, maybe put them up on a communal bulletin board, and then that's that.
That's also because what you said, like, how is anyone going to know about it today? That saturation where the society cannot be what actually occupies most of your time. Most of your time has to be keeping up with trends on TikTok so that you can post about the society, which is maybe me ranting a little bit about Solacene, but
no, it's fine. I feel like you divulge every conversation into built less, but I bring every conversation back to just burning your phones.
Burn the phones.
Because I've been trying really hard lately to literally just not ever pick up my phone. And do you know what? It's working very well. And I'm just like, it's so simple. We need to just do a few episodes on phones probably, but it's just...
Yeah.
It's really liberating, and you have time for your little societies. You have time for your hobbies. Whereas now it's like, I don't have time to do anything. Like, I have to work in Solacene all the time. I have to go to my job. I have to do this. But it's just like, when you just stop putting like 4 hours a day into the screens, you suddenly have 4 hours, which over a week, it's like many more hours.
Yeah, I had most of my notes was just a big drawing of an aquarium. and I kind of labeled it with various aesthetic qualities that I thought could somehow inform the Solacene. And really the dominant one was silence. And I think this is one of my main magnetisms toward the ocean world. In the poem, I said perhaps it's just an introvert's paradise, but it's the fact that sound doesn't travel there. And while we're recording this, we have to take pauses every 30 seconds as a massive truck drives by, or indeed a strange man singing opera on the sidewalk.
Yeah, let us know if your community has the opera man, because we have actually two. So,
do we?
Yeah.
It's almost like a Hey Arnoldian archetype.
Yeah, because there's the one who comes by, but there's also an old man with a stick and a dog.
Yeah.
Who likes to sing opera as
well. But it's with the silence, I want to fast. I want to have a stimulus fast.
Mm-hmm.
But like most people, unfortunately, I've boxed myself into where I cannot for professional reasons.
True. I've noticed even in yoga classes, a lot of them play music now. And it's like, I'm literally here to meditate, but there's noise. And of course, noise is useful in meditation settings sometimes, but it's like, does every class need...
I mean, it's two things. One, people don't realize that they have broken their... I don't even like the term attention span because it's not exactly that, but they've broken their capacity for stillness. And when people do realize that, often it's just like oh, damn, that sucks. And there isn't the realization that just as you broke it, you can fix it.
I think when people realize, they lean into it. It's like, well, my attention span's this.
Exactly.
And then just start only consuming 30-second content.
That's how I feel partially with phone and internet, because we need to do it so much for Solacene. It's like, well, I can't really reduce my screen time anyway, so in for a penny, in for a pound a little bit.
I'm having an idea. Perhaps we could do a mini semester where we try stuff for a week and then report on it. So perhaps we try like 1 week where we have 1 day where we're allowed screens, but all the other days we're not allowed them. Or doing like a 30-second window. I don't know.
Maybe you can be the
just
guinea
tossing
pig for
around
that.
Ideas.